Libra, hey, what is going on? Welcome into the channel. So happy to be here with you always. My name is Deborah, owner of Purusha Holistic Wellness, and this is another episode of Purusha Intuitive, where we're going to look at your energy for the next few weeks via the tarot astrology, any channeled messages that come through. I'll also incorporate some Ayurvedic or holistic wellness practices that we can implement to really strengthen and empower our optimal functioning mind, body, soul. So let's get into it, Libra. We are closing out Leo season as I'm recording this message. We're closing out Leo season. We're about to move into Virgo season, which in my opinion, it's definitely a welcomed energy. There is a lot of pent-up tension, aggravation, empowerment of self that's happening at the tail end of this Leo season. But that empowerment of self can definitely come into some combative energies, especially if people dynamics that we are working with are just like not on the same page, not feeling the changes that you're making, what you're doing, etc. And there's definitely a lot of tension, challenges that are popping up in order to kind of see where you're at, see how committed you are to things, whether or not you're really going to put your money where your mouth is, or if it's just more pipe dreams. And there are a lot of difficulties around this, just in regards to, we have a lot of planets in retrograde right now, the outer planets. Most of the evolution that we're doing, or the places that we're really trying to grow in our success, in our abundance, are being met with challenges. And like I said, specifically on that front of like people and dynamics that might oppose what we're going after, etc. And so we have to find a way to kind of balance all that's happening in the outside world versus how we're internalizing it, how we're feeling about it, how we're also feeling about ourselves. Things that are happening in the external environment are definitely informing our opinion of who and what we are, what we can achieve, whether we're worthy or not. And this is also going to be highlighted with the the full moon lunar eclipse that's going to be happening at the end of the month in Pisces. Lunar eclipses always deal with internal change. They usually follow the solar eclipse, which we just had in Leo. Solar eclipses are about external change, so we're seeing the reworking of things in our environment. And then the lunar eclipse in Pisces really helps us to reestablish self. It can be a little watery, it can be a little emotional, and we're definitely feeling some effects of that emotion with Mars in Cancer, where things that people are choosing, saying, the way that they're presenting themselves in our life or amidst the changes that we're navigating, it can feel a little bit personal, or we might take it personally, even if it's not, right? Even if it's like not having any intention behind it. Yes, tapping into our intuition is huge right now. However, Neptune is also in retrograde, so sometimes our intuitive hints can feel very true, very factual, when in reality it's a little bit more of illusion or fear or, worst case scenario that we're trying to buy into. Or not really trying, I don't think this is an active effort, but more just like it befalls on us, it triggers our fear, our like, oh shit, we're gonna make the worst choice possible and then I'm gonna be screwed type vibe. And that's not necessarily the case. But that's also why I like to start off the reading. I don't even know what's going out out there today. I swear there's just been like a lot of chaos, as is the end of Leo season. But that is why I'm going to start off the energy with, the reading with an energy cleansing, just to set the tone, set the vibe, cleanse out those places we might be feeling blocked or limited. It's a really good time to set your own intention as well, Libra, especially if you have come in with something on your heart or mind, something you would like Spirit to deliver messages to you around. Definitely give that over. Be open to receive. It really is a great way to personalize these collective readings because Spirit's always looking to speak to us. And if this is not your vibe, you can totally skip ahead. I put all the chapters down below. You'll still receive the blessing. You'll still receive the good vibes always. I also offer a variety of healing and wellness services. Readings are one of them if you want me to look at your specific situation, how it's faring, where it's headed. Or if you're interested in more of a realignment of self, your mind, your body, your soul, I do energy healing as well as Ayurvedic or holistic wellness consultations. Because when we are aligned in self, when we're feeling grounded, strong, stable, that's really where we're able to tap into our happiness, our fulfillment, our abundance, and I would love to help support you in whatever way possible. Definitely hit me up. All the info to get into contact with me is in the description box below. I am working on my website. I am aiming to get it done hopefully this week, but until then, shoot me an email. I would love to connect with you. All right, Libra, let's get into it. I bless you with pure love and light, pure source energy, pure loving grace. I release anything that is not for your highest and best. Any fears, doubts, insecurities, lack of worth, lack of value, pain, anger, frustration, impatience, overwhelm. Cleanse it and release it from our being so we may see and understand the messages clearly. Help to make me a clear and open channel for the collective. Thank you, Father God, spirit guides, guardian angels, Mama Love. All right, Libra. So you do feel a little bit on edge this week. I don't know if this is paranoia. I was hearing that. But maybe just like not really confident in your surroundings or not confident in who and what you're dealing with. Not that you're hyper paranoid. Maybe you're feeling that, but it is a little bit of that energy of like, I'm not really sure who and what I can trust. I don't think this is something that's necessarily like holding you back or putting you down. If anything, I feel like your energy is like ready to go. You feel a little bit pumped up this week. And I don't know if this is like too pumped up. Like maybe you can kind of simmer down a little bit, not in a bad way. I'm not like saying anything about you. It just feels really funny. Like you are like bracing for maybe worst case scenario, or you're just like bracing for like whatever comes your way. And I'm not sure that it's necessarily going to be a week or a few weeks where there's a lot to contend with. If anything, it feels like maybe things that you're bracing for are not specifically what is actually going to manifest, what is actually going to happen. Because we're getting this underworld card in your overarching energy. So I'm sorry, like I don't mean to put a pit, like pop your bubble. The underworld unfortunately definitely deals with our shadow self, or just places where we're dealing with things that might feel a little bit more low vibey or not really in alignment with like what we want to invest energy into. But it's also in a way to kind of highlight certain places in your life that really aren't in alignment with you anymore. And I don't think this is like a energy of you going out and cutting everything off or saying screw you to this, that, and the other. As much as like maybe that's kind of what you're preparing for. Because I don't think this is something that's coming out of left field. It feels like it's things that you have knowledge around, and maybe almost to the point you're aware, you're comfortable, and maybe almost to the point where you might not be giving enough credit where credit is due. In the way that if something is allowed to like snowball or domino effect, it might get really messy if it goes unchecked, is what I'm hearing. So interesting with the Fate card. I think there's a lot of things in your life right now that are aligning as they ought to, as they need to. I feel like you're not really sure 100% what certain things mean, however. Things are, we're kind of hitting these climaxes. And that goes back to where we're seeing this Pisces new moon, where it is about internal change, like things that we kind of need to re-regulate within self. And that's definitely where this reflect energy comes through. So I'm seeing like situations are culminating, situations that that are either closing off or they're taking new shape, new form. And so they're like starting to look a little bit different. And there's a need to be more flexible, not so rigid. And I do see you surrendering. I do see you letting go. But I'm really curious about this underworld card. I will clarify it when I do that portion. But for right now, it's very interesting to me. Okay, ancestors. So making sure that you're not moving too quickly. Like I was talking about earlier, that Mars in Cancer can definitely take things personally. And in a way that we're not stopping and checking in with self, or even like checking ourselves up. Not in a way that I'm trying to like point the finger and blame, because I don't really see a lot of that. Like that's not the goal. That's not what this reading is talking about. It's talking about the shadow side, about something that does need to be healed. We've been seeing this come up a lot as well in the collective, where maybe we have certain topical understandings around parts of situations, dynamics, people, our shadow self that we are dealing with, but we need to dig a little bit deeper. And I feel like there are some things that might feel really natural to make certain decisions around, like you feel really called or led to respond in a certain way. Also, I feel like there is a need to kind of reflect before you do, or there's something that is tagging back to ancestral lineage. The ancestors have been coming up a lot for us. I'm hearing this is, yes, help and support, but at the same time, there's this energy of holding on to patterns that aren't really serving you, that actually do cater more towards your shadow self or deficits or things that I don't even think this is stuff that you align with anymore. And maybe you're not even keeping it in your current energy, or maybe there's certain pieces, bits, it's the last pieces of something that need to get dealt with is how I'm seeing it. Swept up is what I was hearing. Kind of making sure that you are getting into every nook and cranny. And I think this is about informing yourself, giving yourself the necessary information. It's not about judgment. It's not about right and wrong. It's not these very rigid frameworks that you have to function in. If anything, that's a little bit more detrimental. That feels like how you are. That's your initial response. That's your knee-jerk response to respond in a certain way. But it's also something that's not feeling very satisfying. It's not feeling very fulfilling, or it's not getting you the results that you want. And it does kind of look like you have to go back to the drawing board, or even if there's nothing else you can do about something, there still is value in processing through, making sure that you're kind of understanding what is happening and why you're showing up in a certain way, why you're responding in a certain way, why you're inviting certain energies in. It looks like 5 of Pentacles. We have someone in your environment, something that's not feeling heard, that's not feeling seen, that's not feeling paid attention to. This feels like something I think that was bound to happen. It's a dynamic that definitely was moving in this direction. And I don't know, I don't see that it's necessarily intentional from your end with the 2 of Pentacles, but it kind of looks like whatever you're dealing with doesn't really understand it in that way. So blocked energy, Queen of Wands, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, fire energy, not feeling like they're getting your attention. I don't know. I don't know if that's 100% fair because honestly, the Queen of Wands is someone who gets a lot of attention, but this feels like someone who's getting attention elsewhere, but not necessarily from you. And that's where the hurt or the offense is taking place. And I don't know. I feel like for you, you're kind of it doesn't really look like you're very involved with this energy, or you have so much going on that you're not really paying attention, or you're not really moved any which way, I think someone wants you to understand that they're feeling hurt, that they're feeling left out, but for whatever reason, you're just shutting down. And again, this just might be patterns of behavior or ways that you've learned to deal with certain people and situations to kind of self-protect. It looks like you're not unaware, or you didn't really, you've expected this to go in the way that it did, but you're also not helping the situation either. Sorry, Libra. Not that I'm throwing shade at you at all. It's just whatever you're doing, whatever you have going on is more important than whatever's happening over here. And that's a little hard for someone to deal with. I don't think that they expected that. If anything, it feels like they're trying to offer you something and maybe you just can't, or you're not in a place where you're open to receive it, or you just don't care, And again, it's not a mean thing. I'm not saying that in negativity against you. It feels like there's a reason why you're in the place that you are today, and it might feel justifiable. There might be reasonings, and I'm not here to say that you're wrong. I don't even think that you're taking it in that way. It looks more okay, I had to make certain choices for myself that would actually help myself, and maybe someone's suffering the consequences of those choices, but it doesn't look like it was something that you were trying to do to someone else. You're also not trying to figure out why someone's feeling really bummed out, Or again, you're just very focused on whatever you have going on. And that's not good, bad, right, or wrong. Like I said, it just feels very much like something brought you to this point. You did what you needed to do. Someone's trying to backtrack off that. If anything, there is a desire to reconnect with this Two of Cups. Perhaps it gives you an opportunity to do some reflection. Or, I feel like the longer that you push something off and don't necessarily recognize how it is affecting those in your environment, then the messier it's going to get. And I feel like whatever you're doing, you're trying to keep things up and running. So it's not like you're blatantly ignoring something to prove or fulfill some type of agenda. I don't necessarily get that vibe. If anything, it's just like, I'm busy, I have a lot going on, and I'm not paying attention to this thing. That feels like it deserves attention, or that's kind of what it's expressing to you. Like, Libra, I want you to pay attention to me. But, okay. But you're not. You're not at all. You're not at all. Like, it's actually really funny. Like, you feel really unbothered. You feel really unmoved. This I don't know if this is a deficit. I'm really curious. I want to clarify a little bit, but let me just, okay, conflict. Yeah, it's going to be hard for someone. So there's an inability to express. There's an inability to say, someone can't talk about why it feels a certain way, or maybe they're just not readdressing things that feel very important to you, that things that would actually make you slow down and stop and give someone the time of day. Like, you have certain expectations, or these are your stipulations, and someone's not fulfilling that. I don't think that they're trying to work against you. I don't see that per se. But I feel like there is some avoidance that's happening. It's avoidance being honest with you, maybe being honest with the situation, being honest how it makes them feel. Because again, there is some type of offer, but then it also comes with more difficulty, more conflict with the Five of Wands. All right, let's look at why the underworld is coming up because of the Five of Wands. Maybe you're just trying to avoid conflict. Because again, this looks like someone who's not really settled or happy with how things are going. And that in and of itself is making it difficult for them. It looks like they feel like you should be doing X, Y, and Z, and you're not. And that's confusing. And also a little frustrating. This is someone who feels like, I'm giving Libra so much and Libra's just not responding, and they should be responding. And there's a little bit of confusion around this. Yeah, the Magician. As if. And I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't know if Spirit's necessarily saying shame on you, Libra, because this is more this energy of understanding why you're handling or responding things in the way that you are. Not to become subservient to someone else, not to just give them what they want to get them off your back. I don't see it like that, but I see it's, instead of just avoiding, it's actually being able to process and understand why something doesn't feel or fit right for you. Because there is some shadow aspects that do need to be looked at and healed. Maybe not right in this moment in time, but yes, eventually down the line, there is healing that needs to be done. Perhaps you are feeling a little bit rigid lately, or sticking to structure has felt really safe and comfortable. But you're now in a time and space where you can be more free, you can be more flexible. I think you're afraid of what that looks like, or as if letting go of the reins is actually going to put you in a position that feels more compromising than what you actually want to be in. But I see that it's you're not really trusting yourself, You're not trusting the strength that you've built, is what I'm hearing. I think you might still be giving someone something else your power, or maybe you're having a hard time standing up against someone or believing yourself first. I don't know if you're having people who are challenging that. We got the Tower with this Knight of Wands, Queen of Pentacles in your energy. The Tower, Five of Pentacles, double confirmation on that Five of Pentacles. And the Six of Swords, yeah. Things are just looking a little bit different. I think you're making a different choice. You're making a different approach. And something doesn't really understand that. And I don't know, like for you, it looks like you're just staying focused on what you have going on, because it feels a little bit too off-putting right now to put energy into things that don't get you the results that you're looking for. And the Two of Pentacles is very much like, I have a lot going on and I have to be really picky and choosy with where I'm putting my energy or who I'm giving my energy to. Also, I do see that people are trying to communicate. Something is trying to communicate, whether it's one person or a few people, to kind of help push the not even like the momentum forward, but like someone wants to communicate something, but there's not any direct communication happening. And because it's not communication happening in a way that you're understanding or even like maybe aware of to some capacity, it feels a lot like someone's taking it personally that you're not paying attention, or that you're not giving them the benefit of the doubt, the benefit where benefit is due. This is also decisions that have been made that have messed with the outcome of things, and someone feeling really disappointed about what that is and how that looks, but also recognizing that like there's no going back with this Six of Swords. And I'm not saying this in a bad omen, like someone screwed themselves over. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Like, again, your energy doesn't really look very invested in this because you're focused on yourself. And really, that's what the lunar eclipse is all about. Okay, we get soul connection that pops out for us. So these are connections that run a little bit deeper in the way that they challenge us. They challenge us to grow and evolve. And I look at soul connections personally as like people we're supposed to meet along the way that help us learn certain lessons or overcome certain challenges, even if they are the challenge in and of themselves. And it feels like you're dealing with some people that definitely are kind of like triggering some of that. And the best way that you know how to deal with it present day is just compartmentalize, setting your boundaries, or like, I can't deal with this right now, so I'm going to focus on the things that I have going on for myself. And again, I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing. Where I do see that could get a little bit tricky is it actually ends up enforcing certain patterns and habits that might not be healthy or might not be what you want to take forward with you. Because when we take certain destructive patterns forward, we end up mirroring that back. We end up attracting people that were just like the people we were dealing with before or whatever. And so this is a little bit more about like getting right with self, so you're not putting yourself in a compromising position. Energetic alignment. Align your energy centers. Balance brings peace and clarity. And I feel like this is part of that shadow that's popping up. Maybe you have certain responses to how people show up, or when it is a little bit triggering, or when people are doing things that feel pretty destructive or really low vibey. It's easy to kind of match that energy, right? Low vibey energy with low vibey energy. We were seeing this in the weekly reading. Match it like fighting fire with fire, which just creates an explosive dynamic. And I'm not saying it's easy to be the docile one in those situations where you kind of have to like turn the other cheek or just like let someone pop off or do what they're going to do because that's what they need to do. But it is that value of like when you surrender, when you let go, it makes it way easier for you. It might not feel like that in the present moment because it's easy to buy into like, I need to react. I need to stand my ground. I need to say my truth. And yes, maybe. But there's something that's evolving for you over these next few weeks that feels like this is how a situation was supposed to go. You knew that. You're kind of like following all the steps that you need to follow, but maybe there is an integration of the lesson that's being missed. Energetic boundaries. Yeah. And it could be as simple as that, right? Like not letting people bleed into your sacred space. Set clear energy boundaries to protect your intuitive power. You might even be like, if some of those boundaries are getting pushed, that might be the exact reason why the underworld and the shadow are popping up. Because you have these external forces that are trying to shake things up a little bit. That's probably why you're trying to stay away, or why you're being very like focused on what you have going on, which I think is really good for you, Libra. I also think it's like I said, you don't want to miss the lesson, and not so much to make other people happy or abide by their rules or like whatever they're trying to say, get you to do. But this is more about you like knowing why you're doing something, knowing the ins and outs of how it's affected you. And if you even like that, you the ways that you don't want to invite this energy back into your life again. And that clarity, that awareness, that understanding is providing the necessary boundaries for you for this dynamic so that you're not, again, inviting that back into the future, whether it's with these people or a new set of energies, right? And instead of, like, it's easy to blindfold and just kind of try to get through it, because that's where the pain is, right? Like, we avoid the pain, we avoid the authentic understanding, because it can feel a little hard. That's that Mars in Cancer. But also, Mars is a really strong energy. It's has no problem like facing things head on. And when you do, it brings the clarity and therefore the peace that you're looking for. So Libra, thank you so much for your time, energy always. I super appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. I hope you found messages that resonated for you here. Definitely drop comments below if you did. I'd love to hear, or just say, hey, share in a little love, little TLC. I so appreciate all the love, all the support to the channel. No, it blesses my heart, and I'm sending love and blessings back to you always.